skull kick in the head. I got you in the moors and I never cease to fret. As riders from the street, that's been out for weeks. I'm talking to my mum, she said the close the fucking days. The children I was scared, they love to ask for where. Cause I got you solid roads and the rich will never share.
Listen, thanks for taking the time to do this. Of course, incredibly busy period, incredibly busy week. So first things first, how are you doing at the moment?
I'm good, yeah, I'm very tired. We played the 100 Club last night and it was release day, so it's just been pretty busy. Just been trying to catch up on sleep, really.
Then I will not keep you too long, but how was that show?
Oh, it was great. It was like out of this world. We've wanted to play there for so long. So obviously it's such an iconic venue. Yeah, it was just a brilliant experience. We had like all of our friends and family there, our label were there, loads of promoters. Just yeah, it was the perfect night for release night, really.
Extra added pressure though, with that many people there.
Yeah,
Expecting
yeah,
so much.
100%, yeah. Yeah.
Well, obviously, as of the time of recording of this interview, your new EP, A Desolate Warning, was released yesterday. Very early days, obviously, but immediate reactions, how have you found them?
Everyone's been really positive. I mean, like we've had loads of reviews in already over the past like week, and I've not seen one so far that's less than 7 out of 10. So I will take that. Yeah, it's been really good. We've had lots of fans say that they were like really excited just to hear everything out finally, because prior to this we only had 4 songs out on Spotify and now we've got 7 altogether. So that's brilliant for us. We wanted to put out music for ages now, so that people can just get a taste of what we do live. Yeah, so it's been really great. And yeah, it's just nice to have new music out, to be honest. And I'm really grateful that people have been so positive about it so early on.
It has. It's been predominantly positive for what I've seen as well. People just kind of take to you, kind of really enjoy what you're doing. Have you been able to put your finger on what kind of makes not just this EP, but the music of Noah Lonergen in general so appealing to so many different people?
I think like because we sort of have like the spirit of old school punk, we get a lot of like older listeners who are like first wave punk and stuff, but then we get a lot of like young people because there's so much energy in our music and we're talking about things that are relevant today. So we sort of just appeal to like a wide range of people in that aspect. I think also like the gigs that we're playing, the festivals that we're playing and stuff, we play to a lot of different people on like a weekly basis. Like we've done Rebellion Festival, which is like primarily an older crowd really, but then we live in a student town like in Brighton, and we play to student audiences all the time. So I think it's sort of just like there's a weird gap where it's like we have loads of student listeners, not very many like millennials whatsoever, and then we've got people who are like first wave punk, and there's just sort of like there's the two groups, nothing in between. But I'll take that.
The middle group. What should, at least from my perspective, because I reckon I might sit in the middle area. I'm not quite old enough to be on the far end of the punk side of things, but I'm certainly not young enough to be a student. Is the accessibility, the catchiness, that side of what you do. I feel like that's the middle ground for most people, regardless whether you like punk or if you want music that says things, you've got that catchy vibe.
Yeah, you're right, actually. I think most of our songs have like a sing-along aspect to them. Like they're pretty easy to get on with. I mean, like in Just Kids, which is on the EP, the chorus is "We're just kids," just loads of times over. So it's pretty easy to like be singing along by the end of the song, even if you've never heard it before.
Well, of course, as we said already, it is an EP which has a lot to say. I mean, I'm going to run it down. The words, as it were, a rallying cry for those navigating the complexities of adolescence and societal expectations. The overwhelming grip of toxic relationships, isolation, and the stigmas surrounding mental health. This is a lot of areas covered, and it's a lot to pack in. So did the focus on these elements come quite naturally to you?
Yeah, I don't think when we were writing the EP, we didn't really set out to write an EP. We just wrote all of the songs individually. It wasn't like, okay, we're going to sit down and write this whole thing. songs have been written over the course of like a year and a half, so it wasn't really like grouped together at all. When we were writing the songs, I feel like the topics come naturally because they're just things that I feel passionately about as a lyricist. So it's not really something that like I've had to think about. It's just if it's on my mind, like I sort of use writing as a therapy. So it naturally just comes out in a sort of therapeutic way for me, in a way to like vent my frustrations and everything. Yeah.
Does it all come internally though? Because ultimately there's so much going on externally. You only have to look at your window, turn on the news or look at a website today, and there's something there that's, well, mostly bad news.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're inspired by like everything that we see around us on a day-to-day basis. I mean, we're very in touch with politics and what's going on in the outside world, but also like I think we're very in touch with our own emotions as a band, and we all go to therapy. Like I think it's important that like you know yourself and you know how you're feeling and stuff. And I think it's just quite easy for us as a band to put all of that into words and in a way that makes sense to us. I think that's why some of our lyrics are so just like point blank, straightforward, getting to the nitty gritty kind of thing. Like that's just how we see the world. We see it in like a this is how it is, I'm going to take it as it is sort of thing.
That's not easy though. The comfortability to be able to speak and sing and say these things, even if it's not necessarily just from the lyrics, but also the music, sometimes the emotion, it can just come from the instrumentals more than anything else. And I did kind of notice when you mentioned there, you said we all go to therapy and you kind of laughed at the end of it. Does that come from the stigma, the feeling that there is still a stigma around stuff like that? And do you feel like as you express yourself, you're breaking down those walls?
I don't know if I necessarily think that we're going to therapy because of the stigma. I think, to be honest, it's more just because I think everyone should have someone to talk to that's external from a situation, regardless of whether you're actually going through something that's really difficult or not. I think it's always a good thing to have someone who's separate from your everyday life to talk to. I mean, I've been with the same therapist for like over a year now, and he's brilliant. And I wouldn't be writing the music I am if I couldn't actually process my emotions separate from the people around me. I mean, it's all great having like friends and family that you can talk to, but if it's stuff that's about them, then there's not really any way of like dealing with it. Do you know what I mean?
No, absolutely. But do you feel as well that you're getting more and more comfortable with expressing yourself, especially through the music?
Oh yeah, 100%. I think when I was younger, I found it really difficult. I mean, I'd still be writing the songs, but I just would hate playing them in front of people because then that's like a very vulnerable side to myself that I wouldn't necessarily want to show to like my family because then they might be worried about me. Do you know what I mean? Whereas now I feel like me writing it and sharing it with people is sort of my way of saying like, you know, it's fine if you feel like that. It's okay. You're not alone, you know? And I think that's a really important thing for us to do as we have a growing platform. You know, I feel like making people feel like they're not alone and that they're in a safe space is such an important thing to do with music, because that's how I found like sanctuary when I was younger. I listened to a lot of music that made me feel seen and made me want to write about it myself.
Absolutely. Well said. Absolutely same boat here. And have you had a lot of conversations with people, particularly in the live environment, I guess more than anywhere else, who have come up to you and spoken to you and said, oh, this song or that song, it means this to me, or, you know, it's had this experience on me?
Yeah, 100%. We've got this song called Real Boys, which is unreleased, which is about my experiences of toxic masculinity as a trans man. And it's just about like being queer in today's society and stuff and what that means to me. And we have at least like 3 people per gig come up to us and say like, this like really touched me. Like I've experienced it myself, or like I related to it. And I'm really glad that there's representation because I'm not gonna lie, like me growing up as a kid, there wasn't really any trans representation in the music industry, like at all. So it's really nice being able to like, I guess, be that for other people in a way. Yeah.
Do you feel like things are getting better? There is so much work to be done. There is so much to be improved within the music industry specifically. Um, but it does feel like things are better, better representation, more openness to talking and stuff like that. Just a long way to
Yeah,
go.
I would say within the music industry, it is getting a lot better. I mean, I'm now starting to see like more and more bands that have like that are trans fronted or queer fronted or female fronted, like especially within the punk world. And I think that's really refreshing. To be honest, like having not really grown up with it being like that, now the table's like shifting and like being in it myself and feeling like I'm part of a community. It's just so like it's empowering. Yeah, it's
Mm.
nice.
And as you said already, safe space, knowing the loners shows is that sort of a major focus? Is that something you really always want to get across? That when you come, see you live, we listen to your music, you'll be heard, you'll be understood. It's a safe space, and so on.
Yeah, I mean, our shows are like a place for people to vent their frustrations and feel seen and feel heard. You know, like I feel like our shows are a place for people to be safely angry at the world. That's what all of the songs are about, aren't they? Like, and I think that's kind of all we want to do as a band is like make people feel like that's okay and but do it in a productive way. Do you know what I mean? Where they're like sharing it with a community of people who all are like-minded and get it, you know, because there are people in this world who just don't get it and who don't understand and but our shows aren't that place, you know. Yeah.
The entire experience is nothing better, I'd say. I mean, aside from, here's a shit ton of money so you can continue to live and enjoy and make music, it's the next best thing, if not the best thing.
Yeah.
So there wasn't initially a vision for the EP, so to speak. As you said, you didn't plan to make an EP. What forced your hand?
um Well, we kind of felt it was the natural progression, really, with having released two singles. Like, we didn't want to keep releasing singles. It made sense for us as a band to put out a body of work that was
Hmm.
cohesive, made sense together. I mean, we had so many songs that could have made it onto the EP. We've got so many songs written, but like these five songs just made sense together. And they feel cohesive and I like that about them, and I like the flow of the EP and the way that they're ordered. And there's songs like with Just Kids, me and Amber wrote that in like 2020 2019, and it just like we kind of got to a point where we're all 19 now. Amber's turning 20 in like 2 months. We couldn't really have put it out any later because we're like, we're not actually going to be Just Kids for ages. Like, we need to put this one out now. And then You Made Me Fall Apart was a live favorite. Losing My Head, we'd been like sitting on for ages, and we knew that it needed to come out. Hell of a Day, we only wrote about 2 months before we started recording the EP, but it was like the one where we were like, right, this has to go out because it's just like there's so much energy in this. It's just great. And Crash Landing is about like the political state of the government right now. So we didn't want to sit on that and wait for it to change. No, we've got to do it now. Yeah.
Yeah, good point in that last one, because we are in 2024 and, without giving too much away, fingers crossed things will change quite heavily
Yes.
this year. So if you released it next year, it might not have as much
Yeah,
relevancy.
I was like, okay, we need to get this out before the general election because we have no clue what's happening then.
I find that fascinating. I really do. When I find out that, let's say, an EP isn't necessarily a planned EP and it comes from a collection of singles, because listening to it and having listened to it and reviewed it and spent time with it, it's so cohesive, it flows so well, you wouldn't notice.
Yeah.
That's an incredible thing. But saying that, with it comes challenges. Did you have any particular points from either a specific song or even just trying to decide what went on the EP in the end that were particularly challenging for you?
Yeah, I mean, we had a song called Vessel, which we were really toying with putting on the EP for a while because that's about the state of trans rights in the UK at the moment and how they're declining quite rapidly with Rishi Sunak in power. But I'd only written that about 2 weeks before we started recording the EP, and it just felt too rushed because it didn't feel like the song was fully formed or fully polished, really like ready for it to actually be recorded yet. So we pushed that aside for a bit. And Hell of a Day took ages to get right. Like, I had the lyrics for that song, I'd say October 2022. And it only really came into its own in like April 2023. Because we couldn't figure out what to do with it instrumentally for ages. And then Noah, our drummer, there's two Noahs in the band, it's very confusing. Noah, our drummer, like wrote the instrumentation for a uni project that he had to do where he had to write a punk song. And then like I just did like the lyrics of Hell of a Day over the top, and we were like, right, this is it, this works. And then Amber came up with the new bass line, which is so sick, and it like drives the song so heavily, and the song would not be the same without it. And it sort of then all came together really quickly within the space of about 3 weeks. But prior to that, we'd been sitting on the lyrics and the melody for like literally about 6 months, and nothing had happened. But we were like, this needs to be a song. We just couldn't figure it out. Yeah, so it's a bit of a weird one, especially when you think about like the fact that You Make Me Fall Apart, the whole thing was written in the space of 15 minutes in a rehearsal room. And we just jammed it, and then it was just finished. Like all of the songs kind of came to life in a very different way to each other. Yeah.
Which, I mean, I guess there's no correct way or no planned way how this will come together. Songs will come together and the EP or whatever you do in the future comes together. But from what you've experienced, whether it be the 15-minute quick ones, the ones that takes weeks, have you been able to identify what's working and what's not working for you as a group when it comes to creating music?
I think, to be honest, we're very of the mindset that something shouldn't be rushed. Like if it feels like it's flowing and we're creatively inspired to write more of it, or that we're making progress with the song, then we'll work on it. If it's not working, we'll leave it, we'll sit on it for a while. We've got this song called George that we've sat on for 2 years and only just started playing again because it now feels right, and we've changed some of the parts. Like I think with a song you just can't rush it. You can't force it to be something that it's not. And if it's not working, it's not working. You're never gonna write something good if you're like sitting down going, okay, I'm gonna write a song now. I think for us it all just comes very naturally in spur of the moment. And if we're creatively inspired, then something good comes out of it. And if we're not, then we'll just leave it until another day where we do feel creatively inspired. I think that's kind of the blessing of like not having a full-time job and being at uni instead, because it means that we can sort of just like take whatever time we need really to just write. And we're at music uni as well, which helps.
Of course. But with that comes its own levels of pressure and work as well. So let's never underplay that aspect.
Yeah.
Well, it's been brought up a couple of times, so I want to kind of delve into it a bit deeper then, because You Make Me Fall Apart is quite a special track. For many, if for some, it'll be the first time they experience it on this EP. So I kind of want to dig into it a little bit more, and particularly where the inspiration comes from.
I think You Make Me Fall Apart, like I wrote it about a relationship that I was in when I was younger. And it was like sort of my first long-term like serious relationship. Like I was dating this girl for like a year and a half, and then we were so good, and then we broke up and it just completely crumbled. Like I've not spoken to her in like 3 years, and I don't intend on ever speaking to her again. Like we just sort of went from like I thought it was the first time that I'd ever loved someone to I actually despise this person. Like I can't believe they've hurt me like this. And I think that's why I was just so, I knew I needed to write a song about it at some point. And then when we were jamming and Joseph started playing those like heavy chords in the chorus, and I just started screaming, You Make Me Fall Apart, I was like, this is the one. Like if I'm gonna write this song, it's this. because it just, when he started, I don't know, when he started playing those crashing chords and Noah was like slamming the drums and Amber was doing the backing vocals in the background, it just felt so right to like finally get all of that out. And I think both me and Amber used it as a very like releasing our emotions kind of song. Like when we went to record it, a different girlfriend had just broken up with me and then called me while we were in the studio and was like, I never actually loved you. And I was like, oh, great. So I messaged Amber and was like, right, I need to record the vocals to this song straight away. I got into the vocal booth in the studio and was like literally crying while I was recording to the vocals to You Make Me Fall Apart. And although it was a shit experience, I don't think the song could have like held the emotion that it should be holding without that happening. Yeah, I'm actually really grateful that she told me she didn't love me, to be honest, because I don't think it would have the raw emotion in it that it does without that. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. It's an incredible track. I have to ask, does it come easy to replicate that emotion on stage?
I don't think so. I think like the reason that we were so adamant that You Make Me Fall Apart had to be on this EP is because every single time we do it live, we somehow get that in it. And like, there's been times where I've almost broke down crying on stage because it's just like, I feel like every time I sing that song, it just all comes back. Do you know what I mean? Which it gets difficult at times because obviously you don't want to be reliving shit experiences all the time. But I don't know, it's just like, that has always been mine and Amber's way of getting out emotions. And if you're having a shit day but you still got to play a show, at least you know that you're doing You Make Me Fall Apart and you can just scream your fucking lungs out on stage. Do you know what I mean? Like, Amber went through a breakup about a week before we went on tour, and she said to me after one of our shows that You Make Me Fall Apart is the best therapy she's ever had because she just gets to scream and get away with it without people thinking that she's actually gone crazy. Yeah, it's a good song to have in the set, really, for us.
Fabulous, fantastic. What about, have you found at this stage that there's one track more than any other that seems to be resonating with the listener base? Aside from You Make Me Fall Apart, I can't help but see A Hell of a Day, and you've mentioned it already, being a live favourite going forward, because going back to something I said right at the start, anthemic.
Yeah. People like Hell of a Day, and especially like, am I allowed to swear?
You've already done it loads, so you might as well carry on.
Okay.
And
I
yes,
actually haven't even realised. Right.
Totally
well, the end
fine.
of Hell of a Day. The end of Hell of a Day is it literally says fuck. Oh, it was fucking shit. I'm never fucking doing it again. Hell of a fucking day. And like we scream that at the end of like every live performance that we do it, and we always get it back from the audience. And that's like one of my favorite parts of every show that we do, just like getting that back from the audience. Because I'm like, what is better than a load of strangers just swearing in your face? It's just fun. Like, it's such a fun song to do live, and people go nuts for it. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, pure energy, man. Absolutely love it. Speaking of life, obviously a show yesterday. What's going on right now as we look ahead, particularly into 2024? Big plans or hopeful big plans?
So we've got South by Southwest in Texas, like not next week, the week after. So that's huge for us, and we're playing some really good stages there. We're doing the BBC Six Music stage, Marshall stage, and then a couple of other smaller ones. So that will be amazing. And then we go out to Germany for a couple dates. We're doing a boat festival, like a festival on a 1,000 capacity boat that goes to like Dusseldorf and Cologne and stuff. So that'll be fun. But I'm a bit worried because I think Amber gets seasick. So like we might be in the middle of playing a set and then she's just chucking up, but she's gonna have to deal with that. And then after that, we've got a little bit of a break for a bit. We've got Great Escape in Brighton. So yeah, I think it's just some more festivals over the summer. We've been booked for our first major UK festival. Can't say what it is, but that's huge for us. We've got Rebellion Festival again this year. Doing a couple sets of that. We're doing like one of the bigger stages and then the acoustic stage as well, which will be interesting. we've not really done much acoustic stuff, but it'll be fun. Apparently, the acoustic stage at Rebellion isn't particularly acoustic. They just don't have a drum kit. So Noah's going to be in the background with like a tambourine, and the rest of us will just be playing the normal set, I think. So that will be fun.
That is going to be
Yeah.
so bloody cool.
Yeah, I'm well excited for that. That should be really fun. Yeah.
Busy.
So
Busy.
yeah, I was going to say, I think it will be a busy year for us. I'm hoping that we get like another tour at some point, because I mean, we've already done a tour this year, but it would be great to get like a bigger support tour, I think. Because every time we do a support tour, obviously your audience grows because you're playing in front of people who've like either never heard of you or never seen you before. So I think that does a lot for like a grassroots artist. Yeah, so that's like hopefully in the pipeline for us at some point this year.
It's why those festivals are so important as well, as you say. Wide and varied crowd from all different areas who may never have heard or would normally listen to your style of music and end up catching it and potentially falling in love. I am intrigued about the festival you can't tell me about. I think I've got a guess on my head. I'm not going to say it, but I think I've got a guess on my head. But anyway,
I promise you, it's not going to be what you think it is, because we're like, I don't know, it's a weird one, but it will be great. Okay. But I wouldn't have pinned us for it, sort of thing.
Oh, right. I will definitely keep an eye out for that then. Okay. For you then right now, as it stands, what do you see as the most challenging aspect you face with getting your music heard far and wide? And what are you going to do to overcome that challenge?
I think, to be honest, in this like generation of technology, it's about social media and like growing your following online. Because there's only so much that live can do. I mean, live is brilliant, and that's how we would choose to grow our audience like any day. That is what I'd choose over social media. But I think it's really difficult with like Spotify algorithms and like getting playlisted and all of that. Like, it's quite hard to get in on that. But once you get in, they playlist you loads. So I think that's sort of how, for us as a band, we'd like to progress, is like getting more of that and getting a bigger social media following and stuff. It's just difficult for that moment to come. Do you know what I mean? Where like that one video on TikTok does well, or like that one post on Instagram, that one reel, whatever. But I guess it's just about like posting as much as possible. I don't know. I'm not a social media person. I don't enjoy it. If I could, I would just not have a social media at all. But that's not really the case in the industry at the moment.
Yeah, you're stuck whether you have to play the game, whether you like it or not. Do you find that because of your age, let's say, dismissively, people expect you to not only be good at it, the social media aspect, but also to enjoy it?
Yeah, I think especially with TikTok, like people just expect us to like love posting, make TikToks all the time. And I will binge scroll through TikTok, don't get me wrong. Like I will sit there at night and like not sleep for like 2 hours after I really should have, just because I'm scrolling through TikTok. But I hate making them. Like I find it really difficult because I just can't switch off that part in my brain that's like, you are being so cringy right now. And I would say like we've had a couple TikToks that have done like pretty well. But on like virtually every single one of those, there's been so many hate comments, and it's just like trying to switch that off in your brain where you don't get hurt by it, or like it doesn't affect you personally. Yeah, it's difficult. It is really difficult.
Have you found a way to be able to switch that off?
I just deleted all of the hate comments because I was like, I actually can't be asked. Or I sent back really snarky replies. Because I was like, you're just being idiots right now. I don't even know what you're on about. So I just like say something really stupid back and just hope that they fucked off. Yeah.
I wish there was an easy solution to it.
Yeah. It's hard because people find it very easy to just hide behind a phone and say whatever the fuck they want. Yeah.
There it is. It is indeed. But you know what's not hard? Listening to a Desolate Warning, because it is 5 tracks. It comes and it goes in quick fashion, and then you just come back to it and start it all over again. And it is out now. Noah, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much for watching. If you'd like to see more content like this, please consider hitting the subscribe button. It is gratefully appreciated. You can find us over at gbhbl.com, our full website where reviews, news and so much more goes up daily. We're also on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, at gbhbl. Just search for gbhbl and you will find us out there. We also have merchandise on sale. You can access the shop via the website.